your dreams, goals and desire, aspirations, it's good that you spend little more time on it and see, will this really mean something to you even after 25 years, 50 years? If you're in your deathbed, will it still mean something to you? You must look at it. Whatever you're aspiring for, whatever you're dreaming of, whatever goals you have set, will it really mean something? Because most of these goals are traps. They're just traps. You get in, it's only one-way street, you can't turn back. I want you to look at this, because many of them are older than you. You ask them what they dreamed of at 18, they're fortunate it didn't come true. Yes or no? If everything that you desired and dreamed came true in your life, could you live with it? Fortunately, many of those things got filtered and never came true, isn't it? So, it will be very good if anybody of your age, if they want to decide and fix the goals of their life, it'll be very good if they take a break from all influence that's around them. Social influences, family influences, other influences, withdraw somewhere, that's why an ashram. Withdraw somewhere, sit down, meditate, bring yourself to a certain level of clarity and joy. When you're very happy and clear, you must decide. Not in desperation you set goals. Desperate goals that you set will mean a lot to you at that moment. Tomorrow morning you look, you don't know why you're tangled up with it. So, it'll be good. If you're fixing your life, it's best that you do it when you're very, very peaceful, happy and clear-headed, isn't it? Not influenced by anything around you, simply by yourself. Sit and decide what is it that you really want to become in your life. What is it that will be of enduring value for you, not for somebody else, for you. And you don't have to build a personality for that, you strive for that. The necessary persona will come. You must understand what a personality is. The word personality comes from the word persona. Persona means in Greek or in Latin, I'm sorry, is a mask. This is a mask. Personality is something that people are trying to develop because they have no sense of being. Instead of the real thing, you're trying to concretize the fake thing. If you are in touch with your being, why do you want a personality? It's not necessary. You can be a different kind of personality in different places. You are actually already. Or are you stuck with one personality? Some people are. People who are simplistic in their head have only one personality. Others have different personalities in different areas of life, isn't it? So personality is something that you have taken on, but you have become so unconscious about it that you think it's for real. You're asking how to develop, that means you're making it up, right? Another word for developing is making up, isn't it? You're making it up. Make it up whichever way is suitable for your kind of activity, but you must be able to keep it down. If it gets stuck to your face, then it becomes misery. Then all suffering will come to you. You can take on any kind of personality, but when you want to keep it down, you must be able to keep it down. There was a sage. He was so wise. People went to him and crowds gathered. Then the king went to him and the king saw such a wise man should be in his court. So he told the sage, "You must come and become my chief minister, because a wise man like you shouldn't go away sitting under a tree. You must be useful for the people." The sage said, "See, that's fine, but I have a condition. You must give me a room in your palace where I will spend every day 1 hour. You should never peep into that room, you should never ask me what it's about, you should never break into it, nothing. This room should be left unexplored by yourself, your servants, your secret agents and everybody. King thought, that's not a problem. What's the problem with me? You want your room, why do I want to look into your room? Take it. Then whenever any important meeting is to come, this man who's sage, now who's become a minister, so he's wearing appropriate clothes for the palace, but he goes in to this room and locks himself for 1 hour and comes out. A few months and years passed, but then after that, king's curiosity, it even got us to Mars. He wants to know what the hell is he doing inside. So rumor started all around, oh, he's doing something, he's got somebody inside, maybe he's an enemy agent, he suddenly landed here, what is he doing there, what is he doing there? Everybody, the whole palace started buzzing around with what is he doing in this room. Everybody wants to see what's in the room, but it's always locked, he goes in, spends time there and comes out. Especially when something important is to be done, he goes in. All kinds of rumors happened. So, one day, king couldn't hold it. King asked this man, I want to see what's in that room. He said, well, there's a promise you've given me. If you break the promise, I will leave. So he contained it. He doesn't want to lose the man. He's too wise. And then his other courtiers started talking, how can you allow this? We don't know what's happening inside, it could be dangerous, it could be this, it could be that. One day when he was not there, they broke open the door and went inside. They looked around, the room is empty, no furniture, no nothing, just empty room. They looked, nothing. What does he do here? Then in one corner they saw very, worn out clothing hanging there and a begging bowl. They went. They couldn't make out what this is. Then he came in. He said, well, you wanted to see, you have seen. The king asked, what do you do here? He said, whenever I want to make any important decision, I come here, wear my worn-out clothes and sit with a begging bowl, clearly, that I don't want to be caught up with all the things of the palace. I want my wisdom not to be lost in these clothes and in this jewelry and in this stuff. So I come here, wear those clothes, sit with my begging bowl, make the decisions and then come out. Now you've broken the promise, and he left. So, this is what meditation is for you. Every day when you sit, you strip yourself down. You don't have to do anything about it. If you sit there simply, see, anything that's made up needs constant support from you, isn't it? See, suppose you tell a lie. It needs constant support to keep it up, isn't it? But if something is true, you can even forget it, but it's still there, isn't it? You understand what I'm saying? If something is true, even if you forget it, it's still there, no problem. But if it's a lie, you have to keep it up. Your personality is a lie. Your being, your existence is the truth. You don't have to keep this up. This will be anywhere there. What you make up for the sake of the society, to function in the society, you need a certain kind of makeup. You must be able to keep it down. If you're going to bed fully made up, then something wrong with you.
You see, what stands between us and achieving even our most ambitious dreams has far less to do with possessing some magical skill or talent, and far more to do with how we approach problems and make decisions to solve them. And because of the continuous and compounding nature of all those millions of decisions that we face on a regular basis, even a marginal improvement in our process can have a huge impact on our end results. And I'll prove this to you by taking a look at the career of Novak Djokovic. Back in 2004, when he first became a professional tennis player, he was ranked 680th in the world. It wasn't until the end of his third year that he jumped up to be ranked third in the world. He went from making $250,000 a year to $5 million a year in prize money alone, and of course he did this by winning more matches. In 2011, he became the #1 ranked men's tennis player in the world, started earning an average of $14 million a year in prize money alone, and winning a dominating 90% of his matches. Now here's what's really interesting about all of these very impressive statistics. Novak doesn't control any of them. What he does control are all the tiny little decisions that he needs to make correctly along the way in order to move the probability in favor of him achieving these types of results. And we can quantify and track his progress in this area by taking a look at the percentage of points that he wins. Because in tennis, the typical point involves 1 to maybe 3 decisions. I like to refer to this as his decision success rate. So back when he was winning about 49% of the matches he was playing, he was winning about 49% of the points he played. Then to jump up, become #3 in the world, and actually earn $5 million a year for swinging a racket, he had to improve his decision success rate to just 52%. Then to become not just #1, but maybe one of the greatest players to ever play the game, he had to improve his decision success rate to just 55%. And I keep using this word just. I don't want to imply this is easy to do. Clearly it's not. But the type of marginal improvements that I'm talking about are easily achievable by every single one of us in this room. And I'll show you what I mean. From kindergarten all the way through to my high school graduation, yes, that's high school graduation for me, every one of my report cards basically said the same thing. Stephen's a very bright young boy. If only he would just settle down and focus. What they didn't realize was I wanted that even more than they wanted it for me. I just couldn't. And so from kindergarten straight through the second year of college, I was a really consistent C minus student. But then going into my junior year, I'd had enough. I thought, I want to make a change. I'm going to make a marginal adjustment. And I'm going to stop being a spectator in my decision-making and start becoming an active participant. And so that year, instead of pretending again that I would suddenly be able to settle down and focus on things for more than 5 or 10 minutes at a time, I decided to assume I wouldn't. And so if I wanted to achieve the type of outcome that I desired, doing well in school, I was going to actually have to change my approach. And so I made a marginal adjustment. If I would get an assignment, let's say read 5 chapters in a book, I wouldn't think of it as 5 chapters. I wouldn't even think of it as 1 chapter. I would break it down into these tasks that I could achieve that would require me to focus for just 5 or 10 minutes at a time. So maybe 3 or 4 paragraphs, that's it. I would do that. When I was done with those 5 or 10 minutes, I would get up. I'd go shoot some hoops, do a little drawing, maybe play video games for a few minutes. And then I'd come back. Not necessarily to the same assignment, not even necessarily to the same subject, but just to another task that required just 5 to 10 minutes of my attention. From that point forward, all the way through to graduation, I was a straight A student. Dean's List, President's Honor Roll, every semester. I then went on to one of the top graduate programs in the world for finance and economics. Same approach, same results. So then I graduated. I start my career and I'm thinking, this worked really well for me. You know, you take these big concepts, these complex ideas, these big assignments, you break them down to much more manageable tasks. And then along the way, you make a marginal improvement to the process, you nudge the odds of success in your favor. I'm going to try and do this in my career. So one day, I'm walking to work, and at the time, my commute was a walk from one end of Hyde Park to the other in London. It took me about 45 minutes each way. Hour and a half a day, 7.5 hours a week, 30 hours a month, 360 hours a year when I was awake, aware, basically wasting time, listening to music on my iPod. So on my way home from work that day, I stopped at the store. I picked up the first 33 CDs in the Pimsleur German language program, ripped them and put them onto my iPod. But I didn't stop there. Because the truth of the matter is, I'm an undisciplined person. And I knew that at some point, I'd switch away from the language and go back to the music. So I removed that temptation by removing all of the music. It left me with just one option: listen to the language tapes. So 10 months later, I'd listened to all 99 CDs in the German language program, listened to each one 3 times each. I then went to Berlin for a 16-day intensive German course. When I was done, I invited my wife and kids to meet me. We walked around the city. I spoke German to the Germans. They spoke German back to me. My kids were amazed. I mean, that couldn't close their jaws. But you and I, we know there's actually nothing amazing about what I just done. I made this marginal adjustment to my daily routine, this marginal adjustment to my process. Und jetzt, ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch. And now I can speak some German. And so in that moment, I'm thinking, it's not supposed to be this easy for a guy like me, an old guy, to learn a new language. You're supposed to have to do that when you're a kid. And yet here I had done it, this marginal adjustment. So what other big, ambitious goals I've been holding on to, putting off until retirement, that I could potentially achieve if I just made a marginal adjustment to my routine? So I started doing them. I earned my auto racing license. I learned how to fly a helicopter, did rock climbing, skydiving, and learned how to fly planes aerobatically. Well, if you're like me, back in 2007, you might have the same goal I had. I was just moving back from London. I was about 25 pounds overweight and out of shape, and I wanted to rectify that. So I could go the typical route. You know, I could write a check to a gym I'd never go to, or I could swear to myself that I will never again eat those foods that I love but are doing all the damage. And I knew that going that route rarely results in the outcome you desire. So I decided to become an active participant. And I thought about the habits and passions that I've developed over the course of my life. And I thought, can I make just a marginal adjustment to them so that they work in my favor as opposed to against me? And so I did. I've got this habit where I've been walking an hour and a half a day for the last 7 years. And I've got this passion for being in the outdoors. And so that year, I didn't actually set the New Year's resolution to lose 25 pounds. I set a resolution to hike all 33 trails in the front country of Santa Barbara's mountains. And I'd never been on a hike before in my life. But the truth of the matter is, it's not about the 33 trails. You have to break this big, ambitious goal down into these more manageable decisions, the types of decisions that need to be made correctly along the way in order to improve the odds of achieving the type of outcome you desire. It's not about even one trail. It's about those tiny little decisions, you know, like when you're sitting at your desk, putting in just a little extra time at the end of a day, or you're lying on your couch and you're clicking through the channels on your remote control or scrolling through your Facebook feed, and in that moment, make the decision to put it down. You go put on your hiking clothes. You go walk outside your front door and you shut it behind you. You walk to your car, you get in your car and you drive to the trailhead. You get out of the car at the trailhead and you take 1 step. You take 2 steps, 3 steps. Every one of those steps that I've just described is a tiny little decision that needs to be made correctly along the way in order to achieve the ultimate outcome. Now, when I say I want to hike 33 trails in the front country, people think about the decisions at the top of the mountain. That's not what it's about. Because if you don't make the right decision when you're on the couch, there is no decision that occurs at the top of the mountain. So by the end of the year, I had hiked all 33 trails in the front country. I did them a couple of times each. I even did a few in the back country. I lost the 25 pounds and I capped the year off by doing the hardest half marathon in the world, the Pier to Peak. When you hear these things, I'm still that C- student. I'm still that kid who can't settle down or focus for more than 5 or 10 minutes at a time, and I remain a guy who possesses no special gift of talent or skill. All I do is take really big, ambitious projects that people seem to marvel at, break them down to their simplest form, and then just make marginal improvements along the way to improve my odds of achieving them. And so the whole reason I'm giving this talk is I'm hoping to inspire several of you to pull some of those ambitious dreams that you have for yourself off the bookshelf and start pursuing them by making that marginal adjustment to your routine. Thank you.